was going to ask it for Thursday, but then I thought I'd email him.
Good evening. I would like to call the April 2025 Planning Commission meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Dana Camp,
Here.
Narnette Reese,
Here.
Wendy Birmingham, David Wisdom,
Here.
Joseph Astrup,
Here.
Phil Chancellor,
Here.
Jennifer Stevens, Oscar Mosley,
Here.
Walker Davis.
Thank you so much. Before we get started, I'd like to give a brief overview of the public process for the meeting of the Planning Commission. We are presented with agenda items by the city staff. Representative or applicant for the agenda item will then have the opportunity to make comments or answer specific questions. A public hearing will be opened as appropriate, and this will be the opportunity for you to address the commission about the agenda item at hand. We want everyone to be heard, but please limit your comments to 5 minutes. And also, please don't continue to repeat, I guess, the same agenda issue item, for the item. We are then brought during the public hearing comments and questions and allow the applicant to respond to those. The commission will vote based on state and local laws and City Comprehensive Plan 2030. Finally, I'd like to make a point for the public in attendance. As you know, the Planning Commission is an advisory board to the City Council, except in the case of subdivision plat decisions. All other decisions will be made by City Council after consideration of the Planning Commission's position. Thank you, and please remember to sign in and state your name and address for the record. Right. At this time, I'd like to open citizens' communication. If there's anyone here who would like to speak on anything that is not on tonight's agenda, please come forward. Seeing no one, we will close citizens' communication. We don't currently have any old business, correct? And the consent agenda. We have approval of the minutes for our March meetings, packet and regular, a final plat for Arbor's Phase 2, and final plat for Uptown 1. Commissioners?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll move to new business.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh,
The first item under new business tonight is an annexation request. It's a recommendation to City Council of annexation of approximately 211 acres. The property is located at 430 Lee Road 53, also known as Webster Road. Here is the prox map for the subject property. It's on the west side of Webster Road, just south of Martin Luther King Drive. And this map shows its location within the optimal boundary. The request meets the criteria of the annexation policy for annexation. And this would be heard at the City Council's May 20th meeting.
thank you. As an annexation, it does not require a public hearing, so commissioners, if you have questions, comments, or motions.
Yeah, so I have a question. The traffic study said that the annexation would generate 270 trips per day. Is that like high, medium, low? Can you contextualize that for me?
Yeah, that wasn't a traffic study. That's just an approximate
Okay.
number. It's kind of a rule of thumb based on the zoning and what could potentially be there.
And is that high, medium, low,
That would be average.
average? Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of based on just a rule of thumb, which is an average of, what could potentially be there based on the zoning. This kind of standard language we have in there for annexations.
Anything else?
Questions?
No. Just want to make a motion.
I'll move to approve case AX 2025-002, Mar L. Webster property annexation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. This has several items.
Two more. This request is for, relates to the property just recommended to be annexed. It is for a recommendation to City Council to rezone approximately 130 acres of that property from rural to industrial. The map shows here the portion of the subject property that would be subject to the rezoning request. This should sort of be rotated. North is to the left, but 80 acres of the property would remain in the rural zoning district. The future land use designation for this property is currently rural. However, the city council will vote at its meeting next Tuesday on your recommendation to change that to industrial. All right. Any questions?
Any questions, commissioners, for Ms. English at this time?
What's the plan for the 3 lots that will be industrial? Do we know
Future
s-
industrial development.
So no specific businesses
They
located
have
there
not
yet?
submitted
Okay.
anything at this time.
Okay.
Thank you. As a rezoning request, this does require a public hearing. I'd like to open that at this time. Who would like to speak on the rezoning? Please come forward. State your name and address. Thank you.
Hi, my name's George Ramey. I own a property on Bellwood Place.
And your address.
1863 Bellwood Place.
Thank you.
I live on that property, and I might be a little premature on this topic. I'm not worried so much about the zoning change as much as access to the property itself. Bellwood has a direct road that goes to this property, and I received something from the HOA saying that there was going to be a request to use that road as access for this property. And that would be terribly detrimental for that neighborhood. It's a very small neighborhood. It has maybe 10 duplexes on the left side, and on the right side, it's got a small apartment building that probably has 12 units. Kids play on this road. It's majority renters. I think I'm one of the only owner occupants, but we've got like kids getting picked up at the bus stop at the corner, right at the corner of Webster and Bellwood. And it's also got like a Tiger Transit stop. And so there's a ton of people that are on that road. It's a small road. It's a road designed to have traffic that doesn't go through. It stops at the end of Bellwood. And I just think they need to find another method to access the property, if at all possible, rather than moving through Bellwood. And so I don't know if that's something I'm supposed to talk about in a few, or if that's something to be talked about right now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just kind of, road connections are things that are handled just kind of with preliminary plat. So there's also a public hearing on the preliminary plat, but I guess that is to the point of kind of what Amber was pointing out. The property that's being rezoned isn't contiguous to the Bellwood Place property, so there won't be any road connections. But I did just want to say, so road connections and things like that, that's more handled at the preliminary plat level and not the rezoning request.
Okay.
So-
Okay. Well, then I guess I'm opposed to it being rezoned if that matters, because it would alleviate my issue regardless. So thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you.
It's not being resumed.
Please sign in if you haven't already, Mr. Ramey. Yes. Anyone else like to speak on this agenda item? Okay, seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners?
So to be clear, that's not being rezoned. The Bellwood, the stub out there at Bellwood going into a property that's not being rezoned.
Correct.
It's not part of this.
Correct. And so, yeah, and so as you can see, so there's a different legal description submitted for the rezoning than what was being annexed. And so this, I don't want to really call it a quadrant, but this chunk that's kind of like hanging out in this, the nook of this is not being rezoned to industrial. And so that could be future development, but that's not a part of the industrial that's currently being considered.
So I guess my point is that is not going to be a road in the near future.
Okay. Where?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Public hearing's closed, sorry.
Okay.
But please feel free to call the city if you have any questions.
Yeah, but anything you want to add to that, Kevin?
Yes, the only thing I'd like to add is if you could see that new road that will be cutting in from Webster, that'll be the primary access for the property. There are a few other future right-of-way, portion of future right-of-way designations that are required as part of the
major street plan that we'll talk a little bit about in the next one. But primary access to the property will be directly off of Webster,
The
not through
extension
the
of
direct-
Webster.
Yeah, can
Okay.
you
Yes.
highlight that? There you go.
There you
Yes,
go.
thank you.
Right there.
Yes, okay. Great. Any other questions, commissioners?
I move to approve AX 2025-002.
No,
We're on the
RZ.
next- the rezoning.
Wrong
We're on
RZ, yeah.
rezoning.
Oh, sorry.
The next page.
Next page, sorry about that. Got the wrong page. There it is. RZ 2025-002.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you. Glad to be here. The last request related to this property is for preliminary plat approval for a 4-lot conventional subdivision with right-of-way. Typically, the commission would not hear this request as it is only 4 lots, but since there is new right-of-way proposed with the plat, that's why it's coming to you for approval. The proposed subdivision, 1, 2, 3 lots here. There is a 4th lot around the edges of these lot lines.
Did think
That
this
is
was
an
hard to read, so
outlot
thank you.
that is reserved for future right-of-way. There are 2 proposed streets on the major street plan that are on this subject property, so that outlot is to facilitate those, that right-of-way.
And do we have the, back up a little bit from it, do we have that view?
Approximately.
Yeah.
Like from 14 to, that one, yes, okay.
So there's one street that runs north to south, and then the other would run east to west,
Okay,
across the property.
okay.
The plat meets the requirements of the subdivision regulations for preliminary plat approval.
Okay. And when this is heard by city council, the future land use would become industrial if approved.
Yes.
Section that is not rezoned at this point.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. All right. This is a preliminary plat, and it does require a public hearing. So if anyone would like to speak on this agenda item, please come forward. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have questions?
I move to approve, this time I'll get it right. PP 2025-009.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hi there.
These next 2 items are for Oakmont Phase 2, which is part of Yarborough Farms. The first request is for a revised preliminary plat approval for 66 lots, and it's a performance residential development. The property is located at the terminus of Oakmont Drive in the Yarborough Farms PDD. Its underlying zoning district is CDD. This request is for 66 lots on 31 acres. 64 of the lots will be for single-family residential lots and has 2 open space lots. The difference in this and the original plat that was approved in February of 2021 is the original had 70 lots and this is 66. And the street network differs a little bit as well. Originally, this cul-de-sac cut through to the addition of Oakmont, extension of Oakmont. However, there's topography issues, so they're still providing connectivity, but through easements right here. And it is still generally consistent with the street network and the master development plan. And it meets all of the criteria for approval with the subregs.
There's a significant amount of comments for those.
Yes, most of them are notational and GIS related. And that is also because there is a final plat accompanying it, but it's because it's revised.
Okay. All this is still under the master development plan?
Yes.
All that?
And also, the DRT plans were approved prior to our last amendment to the subdivision regulations. So this plat will meet the subregs from 2021.
When it was previously approved?
That is correct. Yep. Any questions?
I've got a question. Well, so there's a PDD on this, right?
Correct.
So it was originally planned, when the original came through, that cul-de-sac was not there. There was a road that actually extended over to Oakmont.
That is
Correct.
correct.
Substituting just an easement is acceptable? I mean, why isn't it still a road?
Well, there were topography issues, but they're still meeting the intent of the connection by allowing the lots that are affected to still access that extension of Oakmont, and that was discovered during the DRT review of the plat.
And that was okay there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and this isn't like it's like like a major thoroughfare. Like if it was a major thoroughfare, or well,
Correct.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I guess this also would this would be like a residential street. So if this would have been like a major street plan, there wouldn't have been. There might have been like the road might have moved, but there wouldn't have been like, oh well, we're just gonna not have the road and then we'll provide easement. So there are several things that allowed this to happen. It's not some that would be standard operating procedure on a bigger road.
Still meets the requirements of the.
Correct.
The plan, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you. As a preliminary plat, this does require a public hearing. If anyone would like to speak tonight on Oakmont Phase 2, we'll open that now. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have questions, comments, motions?
Move to approve case PP 2025-007.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I'm back again.
You're back.
This next request is for the final plat approval of Oakmont Phase 2, 66 lots, 31 acres. And it does meet the criteria of the subdivision regulations.
Thank you. The final plat does not require a public hearing. So, commissioners.
Move to approve case FP 2025-009.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for final plat. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right. Rise Auburn consolidation plat. So the action request is preliminary plat approval to create a single lot of 4.27 acres to be used for performance residential development. That's all right. So this is down West Glen. Normally, like we talked about in the packing meeting, you guys only see final plats once they have approved engineering plans or there's a significant amount of infrastructure in place. This is different because this is a consolidation plat, and since what they are doing, they're only putting together multiple lots, and they're making it one lot for a development down the road. So that's why it is accompanied with a final plat, and there's no infrastructure improvements that would be needed for engineering plans or et cetera. That would need to be reflected on the final plat. So this is just preliminary. This is a preliminary plat request for the consolidation, and the only reason that you guys are seeing this is because this is above the threshold of 6. That would make it an admin plat. So normally things like this would bypass you all, but just due to the number of lots, this needs to come before Planning Commission.
So when they move forward with development, does that mean we're gonna see it again?
No, it is a by right use.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay. Total number of lots they're assembling?
Yeah, 7.
7. Okay. Okay, well, this is.
What about staff comments?
Unique. Staff comments.
Yeah, do we, anything?
No, and so I guess kind of a lot of the things with the lot consolidation are, I'd say, very tertiary to the rest of the project. And so there's been a lot of back and forth about the site design and everything else. But I mean those things are all kind of encompassed in the DRT and just DDRC and all those other things. And so there's been an immense amount of scrutiny on this project. I think we've been working on this for about 6-8 months, just kind of working with the developer and their engineer. So.
Okay.
Move to approve
Oh,
case.
hold on, I'm sorry. This is a preliminary consolidation plat and requires a public hearing.
Sorry.
So I'll open the public hearing at this time if you have anything you'd like to say about the consolidation of these lots. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing now, Commissioners.
Move to approve case PP 2025-011.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Yep. So this is the final plat, just kind of in accordance with this. Like I said, so normally there'd be approved engineering plans associated with with the final plat, but there are not because there are no significant infrastructure improvements that need to be made related to this. So.
Okay. This is a final plat and does not require a public hearing. Commissioners?
Move to approve FP 2025 Rise Auburn Consolidation Final Plat.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, Aaron Schmidt office project. It's gonna be me the rest of the way. So.
Oh, okay.
All right. All right. Okay, action request is a recommendation to the City Council to rezone approximately 11.29 acres to Comprehensive Development District. It's right on Big Creek, just kind of going towards the airport. The next one. All right, so the applicant reached out several months ago, just kind of with that. The developer would like to incorporate a residential component to just kind of the office space there. Even though it's zoned industrial, it's not the traditional industrial how it functions kind of across other places in the city, like in our industrial parks. It's a lot more of an office and commercial use. They wanted to know if there's a route that they could incorporate a residential component. And so to do that, there was going to be CDD. And so initially, if you can go 2 slides forward. There we go, that one. So as you can see, there are 2 lots here. And so the one to the north, they initially thought, hey, will we be able to rezone this one? Normally, and I think traditionally, whenever we get like a rezone request, we're not really in favor of rezoning smaller lots. We would really like to see rezonings kind of happen in chunks where a larger subdivision could be possible, where it makes sense and the character of the rezoning can kind of stand on its own or maybe fit and be congruent with other existing zoning in the area. And so we suggested that if they were going to request a rezone to CDD, that they incorporate the piece to the south to make up the entire 11.2 acres. And so I said that was a staff suggestion of that they incorporated into the rezoning. And so if we go back, and so this is, so this is Gateway Commercial, and so we do have the zoning district for that, but that doesn't really fit. And like I said, they're kind of at angling to incorporate residential, and so the request for CDD, and I know we're not really fans of rezoning to naked CDD in a lot of different cases. But this is really just a limitation of our zoning ordinance where we don't really have a less permissive zoning district that would allow mixed use without allowing the by right single family housing that CDD does allow. And so if you go to the actual zoning, go back one more. CDD is prevalent in that area. It already exists. And like I said, this is just kind of a holdout of kind of the original zoning and kind of what has happened. People got CDD along these massive corridors, and thankfully, in a lot of these situations, these big thoroughfares, commercial is what the use is what the land use is. It is just where CDD is present, there can always be a possibility of single-family housing. And so, like I said, the intent of the developer when they initially reached out was to incorporate a residential component above the ground floor of the commercial uses that they were trying to establish. We did receive feedback from the from a prominent property owner, the university. I shared that letter with you all today, just that their mention of the FAA zone, and even though there is existing CDD in the area where residential is possible, that they would oppose adding the potential of more residential with this rezoning.
Currently industrial.
Currently, industrial and residential is not allowed.
Future land use is gateway.
Gateway commercial. And so just like I said, I think this request is much more of a reflection of the limitations of our zoning ordinance and not having a scaled down zoning district that could be as permissive as CDD without allowing single family housing by right or other smaller scale residences by right, like residential uses by right.
When I read that, that letter, it suggested that they were just opposed to any residents in that particular area because of the airport and the noise associated with it. It wasn't just single-family housing. Is my interpretation correct?
Yeah, I think they're here to speak on that. But yeah, I think that was kind of the tone that I got as well. And like I said, I think a zoning district that maybe allowed mixed uses and also allowed commercial, but maybe had the residential as conditional would probably be something that'd probably be more appropriate. But like I said, this is just kind of, like I said, the limitation of the zoning ordinance where people have to ask for CDD to achieve some things.
You have any other questions before I open a public hearing?
And when you say residential component, you're talking about apartments?
Yeah, so
What's that?
condo units, loft units, like I said, above the ground floor, not necessarily like a freestanding MUD that had entrances off the ground floor. Like I think it would just kind of be in conjunction with and probably operate in conjunction with the airport. So.
And are exceptions not allowed in gateway commercial?
No.
It doesn't allow any.
Doesn't
residential.
allow any.
Types.
Doesn't allow residential, doesn't, and then also same thing with industrial. And so, like I said, so we have exclusive commercial uses. We have exclusive. We have exclusive commercial zoning districts. We have exclusive industrial zoning districts. Like I said, the mixed use zoning districts are very far and few in between. That's DDH. I mean, you got some LDD with the shopping center carve out, and then you also have CDD.
Mm-hmm.
But to get the uses, which are what they're trying to do, the primary ones, like I said, you would achieve that through CDD.
Okay,
But it's heading towards gateway commercial in the future. Is that what we're thinking?
that's its future land.
That's-
use
Yeah,
category.
yeah.
That's
Future land
use
use
plan.
Yeah.
In which case, that's just total commercial.
Right.
No residential uses at all.
I think there's a world where we'd probably contemplate mixed use, but I think just with the prominence of the airport, that'd probably be something that would have to be considered.
Okay.
Okay, this does require a public hearing. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for Aaron Schmidt Office Project. If you'd like to speak on this, please come forward.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Richard Geether. I'm the Director of Campus Planning and Space Management at Auburn University. I'm here on behalf of the university and also on behalf of Bill Hutto, the Director of the airport, and Mark Sterling, the Director of Real Estate at the university. And thank you for sharing the letter that we prepared. Regarding the proposed rezoning, the airport's primary concern is the allowance of residential on this site. This lot is immediately adjacent to the airport airfield. The Federal Aviation Administration does not view residential as being a compatible land use next to the airfield. Obviously, it is up to the local jurisdiction to determine if it is appropriate, but it is the FAA's recommendation that that residential is not appropriate here. We have no objection at all to development here. We have no objection to commercial here. Our only concern is that the CDD district permits residential by right. And we do want to follow FAA guidelines for development around the airport, and therefore we do not recommend the change in zoning to one that permits residential by right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak on this agenda item? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Applicant? I have a question. Is there existing residential in this same proximity to the airfield?
Yeah, there's I guess, same proximity, probably not immediately adjacent, but there are houses off of Airport Road. There's a house on Airport Road, and then there's an entire subdivision right next to it. Planes used to fly behind my house all the time.
So can you put a finger on it on this map? So we can
No, so I guess it would be in the top left corner. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to see it on this prox map. We'd actually have
It's
to
on the
go.
other side.
But yeah.
It's on the other side.
Yeah, pretty much, because it's
Oh.
because what it is over there's the golf course, and then across the street from the golf course, there's those warehouses. There's, I guess, like kind of at the intersection of Annaloo. There's the CPA, there's the warehouse, and then there's a daycare, another house, and then there's a neighborhood with about 18 houses on it. Then there's another house, and there's Young's Plant Farm. And then you ride around. And then there's townhomes right across the street from the airport entrance as well, that back up to Duck. And then there's the commercial node there where there's like the church, Conquer Fitness, and then like the car dealership. And so not in the immediate proximity of it, but I guess at least like the airfield, but it's there.
But not adjacent.
No, it's across the street.
Well, it's across the street, but
Yeah.
not on
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there
yeah,
at the
yeah.
property, the airport property.
So yeah, I would not say similar as an immediate proximity, but you could definitely, there are people who could throw a rock and get it over the fence at the airport for sure.
Applicant?
Yeah, so anyways, when we started talking about this, we previously have conditional use approval for office and some commercial, a restaurant and warehouse use there. The applicant was designing and had a desire as part of his office and warehouse was to have 2 or 3 apartment units above the warehouse space in like a loft space. That's how this conversation started and went down the road. When we talked with the city, as Justice mentioned, they said, hey, if you're going to rezone it, you got to bring in the other parcel. So we went and obtained got the rest of that land, the Scott parcel to the south there, rezoned, which all the frontage on Glen there is CDD other than this. There's no intention of single-family residential in this area. The highest and best use of this property is not single-family residential. The highest and best use of this is commercial. Unfortunately, our zoning ordinance, amongst all its wonder, has a lot of shortcomings, and this is one of them, where essentially we have CDD or nothing in regards to having a broad mixture of uses. You couldn't even put a PDD overlay and try to do that stuff here, right? It's industrial zoning. Every use in industrial is conditional, but it prohibits residential. In the industrial zone, we could build 75 feet, right? I could build as far as I can with minimum setbacks, right? There are defined setbacks in the industrial zoning, whether it's 10, 20 feet. Whereas if it's CDD, it's angle of light, right? And I got to be so far off the property line with that. So at the end of the day, all we're trying to do here is put 2 or 3 apartment units above the warehouse on that parcel. That's all we're doing. We're not trying to do a single-family residential neighborhood or anything of such like through there. Topo's challenging through there anyways, and so there's a lot of prohibitions to that. There was some question before in regards, I think, at staff or a packet meeting about, can we condition it upon not having, that. I think that we are okay on our side with the condition of not being able to do single-family residential, right? Again, all we're trying to do is 2 to 3 apartment units above the warehouse space in that area. So, hope that gives you a little better feel for what we're trying to do. And it's not this isn't a residential project. This is a mixed-use project. Mixed use is kind of what everybody does. Unfortunately, we can't do mixed use here because of our zoning ordinance and the limitations that it does have. So,
Talk to me about why you want residential right there.
for 3 units, one of the owners is a pilot, right? They have the restaurant through there. He has his business through there. He wants to be able to his type of work has a lot of travel, and he has a lot of people going and moving to different places for long periods of time. And so it'll create interim spots for him to be able to house some of his people in between that are more you know, transient type workers who, you know, move from job to job in 12, 18, 24-month chunks, you know? So that's,
I have a question
Mm-hmm.
to either one of you, staff or Brett. With this being in that airport zone, are
Mm-hmm.
y'all required to do noise abatement?
yes, there are requirements within, whether you're in the runway zone, the different zones. Yes,
Okay.
from that side.
Applicant.
So we're saying apartments for
I mean, we would have to come back.
overnight stay
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something?
Yeah, you know, we would, if we rezoned to CDD, we would have to come back before you guys for conditional use to get those 3 units approved, 2 units, 3 units approved. So we'd be having to come back for you with, you know, more detailed information on that.
Because we can't conditional use a rezoning.
I understand, understand.
Thank you. Commissioners?
So my question isn't necessarily for, you know, what the immediate commercial use is for this proposed rezone. My question is about what happens if we rezone and the property changes hands. Now, it is CDD, and what restricts the second owner or third owner? Nothing?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing. And that's why I struggle with this one.
I'm gonna get it started, and I'm gonna move to approve case RZ 2025-003.
I'll second it.
Okay, now this on the table. We do have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on this?
I think if this was in, not in the airport district, it would probably be okay as far as I'm concerned. You know, with that being the case, I think that it's not appropriate to have this.
If it was across
Meaning
the
it's
street.
appropriate for future land use and it'd be fine that way? I mean, they could do everything except residential there? Is that?
Well, it's the residential component that is the issue I have. Whether it's small or not, and then you know, you stretch it into the future, who knows what's gonna happen, and, you know, or that could be a problem in the future, and you have, you know, townhouses going there.
Yeah, that's my concern too.
That-
This, what's being presented today, that use I don't really have an issue with. It's the fact that the second owner may have a different idea of what's highest and best use than this owner does. And, for that reason, I think, you know, we need to look at our regs and see if we can change or add a new designation to have some conditional uses, Justice said, but I just don't think it's wise to grant something as permissive as CDD right here next to the airport.
I would agree with that. I think we need to look at our zoning regs. And if we have to create a gateway commercial
Residential.
with no residential, yeah, we should.
Or residential that's conditional and come to, yeah.
There you go.
Okay, discussion's great. Do we have motions?
We had the motion.
You're on
You have a
the-
Oh,
motion
I'm
and
so
second.
sorry. Apologize, I got into the commentary.
Oh, you said it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the rezoning? All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay, I guess is what we.
Nay.
Nay.
Nay, nay.
We'll do roll call, please.
Roll call.
Nanette Reese,
No.
Dana Camp,
No.
Bill Chancellor,
No,
David Wisdom,
No, ma'am.
Joseph Astrup,
No.
Oscar Mosley.
No.
Okay, so we're gonna look at that. Just because you needed one more thing to,
I know, man. I'm not that busy.
I didn't want you to be bored.
That's all good. We're like fully staffed and everything. It's awesome. All right. So Cherokee Road subdivision. Action request is preliminary plat to subdivide approximately 3.5 acres into 11 lot performance residential subdivision. All right. So y'all remember that there was a request for MUD townhomes through here for several months ago. I think it was like 8 units.
December.
Yes, and I think I got split vote here and failed at the council level. And so they've come back with an 11 lot performance single family residential subdivision. 2 of those lots are open space, won't go forward. All right, so kind of like we talked about at that meeting in December, there's a just considerable amount of easements on this property. There's a right of way that goes through it. It was supposed to connect to the road down beneath, but now that can't happen because there are houses that are zoned NC on the other side. One of the other things that came up was, how did this ever become DDH? This is very funny. So the property owner, who actually is the reason that this is DDH, owns land on Gay Street. That this is just the weird piece of parcel that touched it. And I guess there was another piece that touched NC that was that's currently NC that was rezoned from DDH. So that is the piece that allows all this to be DDH. And so there was a larger chunk of DDH that then would have transitioned into NC. But like I said, there was that piece was rezoned, and this piece is really just kind of stuck and left. That is still contiguous with the piece that touches Gay Street. But like we talked about then, there's, like I said, so there's still a considerable amount of work to do. There's easements that still need to be moved. There's right of way that needs to be vacated. You can kind of see that underlined on the plat. But what's been presented is an 11 lot subdivision with 2 open space lots, and that's really it. And so that was kind of the big debate at the time: MUD townhomes versus single family housing. And that single family housing was possible. It was just going to come at the expense of trees in the area.
And this meets, like, as far as lot size and.
Yeah, and so I think there's some questions just kind of around. So then the other thing that we kind of talked about when we had this pre-app, which must have been about 6 months ago, so by now, this isn't one of the situations where the property was under contract, where they were kind of working through a due diligence period with like a level of urgency. Property was owned, owner was just kind of seeing what was possible, didn't really have druthers one way or the other. However, up or down didn't really matter. So they're kind of working through this, and so that's why there isn't the request with the vacations and all the things kind of at once. They're still just going to work through that, just trying to get a direction of what can happen. And so then this was the option that just seemed more palatable for the community.
Any other questions? This requires a public hearing, so. I'll go ahead.
I'm sorry, so if I remember, there were townhomes proposed, voted down, and now these are single-family homes that are being.
Correct. And so this is just a yeah. So this is just the preliminary plat to create those.
Family, all right.
Okay. This does require a public hearing for the Cherokee Road subdivision. I'll open that at this time if you would like to come forward and speak. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
I'll move to approve PP 2025-008 Cherokee Road subdivision preliminary plat.
Second.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, Brentwood subdivision phase 3. So preliminary plat approval for 43 lot performance residential subdivision. All right. All right, so the other side of 85, good old CDD again. So this property, hold on, all right, so when we had this pre-app, there was just kind of a lot of discussion just kind of around what was there, what the future land use was. And so the future land use, we can go to the next one. Future land use for this is office park. But as we kind of talked about, and for everyone in the audience, current zoning takes precedence over the future land use. By CDD, they are entitled to a lot of different uses. And so one of the uses that they wanted to do multifamily housing in some form or capacity. And so they were in between MUD and townhomes. And so townhomes were the by right option. And so that really just had to come forward for the preliminary plat. So if you guys want to go back to the actual plat. or I think it's forward to the plat. There we go. All right, so 43 lots. They're also going to be doing a private street, and so that's why you see the configuration. And then the dark part is what the easement is going to be. And so if you go to the next one, there's a considerable amount of floodplain kind of to the east. I guess that's the east of this, but that is not a part of the actual development. The development is much further on the other side of this. So, all right. So then, if you guys had any questions.
Back to the plat, please. So, really, all of this is just on a portion of.
Correct, and I guess if we had and so we normally don't include like the base map, but on the base map it shows really well. On to the east of that, there's a creek where you can kind of see the outline. Yep. Everything is on the west side of the creek, pretty much, like all the residential.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a preliminary plat and does require a public hearing. So, Brentwood subdivision phase 3. If you would like to come forward and speak, we'll open the public hearing now. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
I'll move to approve PC case PP 2025-010 Brentwood Phase 3 preliminary plat.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, Grand Junction. So this the action request is a recommendation for conditional use approval for performance residential use, 28 unit multiple unit development at 1027 East Glen Avenue. All right, so this is also another retread. So this one came through a little over a year ago now. There are different components to it that are lacking now, and so what's different between that proposal and this one? There was a brewery that's no longer included. They also rearranged the unit structure a little bit as well, but they're still taking access off of Cherry Street. That was a big discussion at the time as well. I want to say like open space. No, I think that was that was the biggest thing. So it was just the omission of the brewery. It's going to be a mixed use development. There's going to be some office space, some commercial within it, but then there will also be the MUD as well. And I think they moved around the units from one designation to another, but that was it. So largely still the same. There's just a lot. I know the brewery was what initially everybody was excited about, but this is no longer in the second rendition. So.
Everybody was very excited. They talked about it. No comments of particular, it was just about the townhome style.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Townhome to MUD and just kind of moving those around. And so that was really the only change. So it's just same but different.
Okay, this conditional use does require a public hearing. So I'll open that at this time. If anybody would like to come forward. Grand Junction. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners? Any questions, comments, motions?
Has any work started on this project at all?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Has any work started on this? Because I know there was
No.
Okay,
I
so
don't
there's
think so.
preliminary, it expired, but no work has started. Okay. All right. Or conditional use, excuse me.
I move to approve conditional use 2025-007, case number that is.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Boulevard Phase 8. All right, so the action request was a recommendation for conditional use approval of a performance residential use, 8-unit, multiple unit development, 324 Giddens Street. So this is right off of Harper Avenue. So this is zoned MDRD, medium density residential development. So this is a continuation of the boulevard that's really kind of, dominate's wrong word, but is the the prominent development over there, just kind of along Harper, kind of going back all the way up and touching Opelika Road. One of the things that they recently came through and they had a conditional use approval, and then they wanted to increase the unit count. So you can do less units, you can't do more units without having to come back and get a conditional use approval. So one of the things that was in, I guess there wasn't a comment about it, if you want to go to the next one, just kind of the site plan. Next one. Yeah, it was just kind of, there was just some discussion about what was going to be the fate of Gideon Street, if there was going to be a connection or not. That was it. And then just kind of thinking through parking and kind of where that was going to go. But pretty much everything that was submitted just kind of in line with what they've done in the past. There was also exhibits of what they're going to look like. If you guys want to go to the next ones. Yeah. So like we said, so these are going to be different. So the bigger part was that they were going to downsize from some of the 3 and 4 beds and kind of go down to some of the 1s and 2s. That's just kind of what they were thinking about. So.
Any questions right now? Okay, this conditional use also requires a public hearing. I'll open that at this time. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
I'll move to approve case CU 2025-009.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all. Do we have any other business, communication?
No, I don't think so. So that's why I had to say that and then start talking. Only communication, no new communication, just that notify the applicant of the text amendment that will be on the agenda in May, but that's really it. So that's all I got. And then I guess just a small update, we do have 2 things trying to move through the PUD process. So
Nice. Very good.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. I need a motion to adjourn. Please.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Yay, thank you.